Abraham lowers the knife. Tears fill his eyes. He turns and sees a ram caught in a thicket. God has provided. He offers it in place of his son, and names that place the Lord will provide. From that moment, it became a symbol that God always sees. He sees the pain, the faith, the heart. But this story is not only about Abraham. It's about everyone who has ever stood on their own Mount Moriah. When you lose what you love, when your world collapses, when God seems silent and all that's left is one step of faith. Abraham didn't understand why God asked this of him. But he knew who was asking. And that was enough. The power of faith is not in the absence of fear. The power of faith is walking forward despite it. Abraham was not cold or detached. He loved his son more than life itself. And still, he obeyed. That's what made his faith unshakable. It was not a feeling, but a choice. Many people today face their own tests. Some through illness, others through loss, betrayal, or loneliness. And every time it feels like God is asking too much, remember, He never asks without purpose. He always provides. We see pain, but He sees the outcome. We see a moment, but He sees eternity. Abraham didn't know that his story would foreshadow another sacrifice, one that would take place on Golgotha. There too was a father who did not spare his son. But unlike Abraham, God did not stop himself. Christ became the willing sacrifice, so that every person could have forgiveness and life. What Abraham lived as a test, God fulfilled as redemption. And that is why this story matters. It teaches us to trust when we don't understand, to walk when we're afraid, to believe when everything seems lost. Because at the end of the road, when all strength is gone, God always provides. Always sends light, hope, and deliverance, just not always when we expect it. If you are standing on your own Mount Moriah right now, if it feels like God is taking away what you love, don't give up. He's not trying to destroy you, but to strengthen you. He's not breaking you apart to end you, but to rebuild you stronger. And when you pass through it, you'll see, it all had a purpose. The faith of Abraham became the foundation for generations to come. And even now, through these words written thousands of years ago, God still speaks, trust me. Even if you cannot see the ram in the thicket, I have already provided. If this story touched your heart, subscribe so you don't miss new stories from the Bible that speak to the soul. Share in the comments what trial God helped you overcome. And you can read the full story yourself. The link is in the description below. Imagine a night, silent, starry, without wind. The air stands still, as if the world itself is holding its breath. And then, in that stillness, a voice speaks. Not loud, not thunderous, but one that makes your heart race because you know, it's the voice of God. Abraham, he says. And the righteous man answers, here I am. Then God says, take your son, your only son Isaac, whom you love, and go to the land of Moriah. Offer him there as a burnt offering. At that moment, time seems to stop. Abraham doesn't argue. He doesn't ask why, or for what purpose. He simply rises early in the morning, cuts the wood for the offering, saddles his donkey, and calls 2 servants. Isaac is still asleep. Abraham looks at him. This isn't just his son. This is the promise. The miracle that came when all hope was gone. He was 100 years old when Isaac was born. Sarah laughed, unable to believe that laughter would once again fill their home. And now, God is asking for that miracle back. But Abraham doesn't resist. He trusts. 3 days they walk. The road is dusty, the sun relentless, and silence heavy. Only the sound of hooves and footsteps breaks the stillness. Sometimes Isaac asks questions, and Abraham answers briefly. He knows that if he says too much, his heart might break. Inside him is a battle, not between fear and faith, but between love and obedience. He knows that God never makes mistakes, but his human heart is full of pain. Every step feels like a wound. Every glance at his son, like a knife. On the third day, Abraham lifts his eyes and sees the mountain in the distance, Mount Moriah. That's where it must happen. He stops, leaves the servants, and says, "Stay here with the donkey. The boy and I will go over there, worship, and we will come back to you." Notice, he says we will come back. Even now, he still believes that God will provide. He places the wood upon Isaac's shoulders, takes the fire and the knife in his own hands, and together they begin to climb. Isaac walks beside him, calm and trusting, and then asks softly, "Father, here are the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for the offering?" Those words pierce Abraham's heart. And he replies, "God himself will provide the lamb for the offering, my son." These are not just words. They are the essence of faith. They climb higher. The air grows still. On the summit, Abraham builds an altar and carefully arranges the wood. Then he turns to his son. Isaac doesn't struggle. He trusts his father, just as his father trusts God. Abraham ties his hands, lays him on the wood, and lifts the knife. Heaven itself seems to hold its breath. It is the moment when faith reaches its breaking point. And just as the knife is about to fall, a voice calls out, "Abraham! Abraham!" He stops. "Here I am," he answers. "Do not lay your hand on the boy," says the angel, "for now I know that you fear God, seeing you have not withheld your son, your only son, from me."